Let's just be real. On this podcast with me, your host, Marissa Tonge, we have real thoughts, real convos about adulthood, healing, self care, wellness, entrepreneurship, and so much more. Get to know me on a deeper level as I navigate a new part of my life and share different perspectives from other millennials going towards their dreams. If you're ready to go beyond the surface, then sit down, relax, and let's get real. Hello. How we doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Let's Just Be Real podcast with me, your host, Marissa Tong. I am super excited to bring you guys another episode. Our last one was our pilot episode, and we talked a lot about procrastination and how we got here with starting this podcast and how it took us a little bit to start it. But here we are. We are going full throttle. I'm really excited to bring you guys some fresh content, some fresh combos, some fresh thoughts. We have a lot to talk about. So today I wanted to actually talk about intuition. This is something that I had brought up or like briefly mentioned on my Instagram story. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram. If you don't, follow me now. Wristfit Kitty. But yeah, I had brought this up a couple of weeks ago on my story, and I was talking about how we need to stop doing things that we don't feel like doing. Or not even that we don't feel like doing, but things that we really know we're not supposed to do, or that it's just kind of like going against our intuition. Like that was really the point, right? Like, and let's talk about a little of what intuition actually is, right? Like we might hear this word quite a bit, or we might not. We might never hear it. Maybe we don't even know what our intuition is. Maybe we don't listen to it. Maybe like it's just something that we're still kind of learning about. But basically, short definition of your intuition is like that internal guidance, that internal voice, that natural voice or feeling, that inkling within you that tells you not to do something or when to do something or when you have a feeling about something. Basically, it's like your gut feeling. So if you've ever heard the term like listen to your gut or my gut doesn't feel right, like that is basically your intuition. So following your intuition is going to, in most cases, put you in the right direction, right? Because think about it. So, what I had kind of like mentioned on my Instagram story was that, like, if you're ignoring your intuition, you are basically ignoring God. And I don't know if you believe in God if you're listening to this. I don't know if you believe in any type of higher power or the universe or anything like that, but your girl does, okay? I was brought up as a Christian and grew up in, religious household. My parents were very strict. We didn't talk too much about intuition or things that seemed a little like woo-woo, quote unquote. I actually hate that word woo-woo, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, so anything relating to like intuition, spirit guides, horoscopes, crystals, anything that like seemed out of, you know, outside of the Christian um religion, whatever that meant. So we didn't talk too much about like, oh, follow your intuition or, blah blah blah. Like, yes, I did grow up. My mom did teach me, obviously listen to, how you feel about certain things, or mainly, based on like value. So I feel like my parents instilled a lot of like value in me, morals, integrity, but I feel like those are separate from your intuition, right? Like your values, those are things that you can learn over time, or you kind of like create your own values depending on the type of life that you're trying to live, the type of lifestyle. So I feel like your values can change, your morals can change, but your intuition does not change. I don't feel that way. I might be wrong, but that's not how I feel. Okay. I'm take it from someone who used to blatantly ignore their intuition, okay? And I'm talking about like consistently. And mainly when it came to relationships, okay? Mainly when it came to relationships, ladies, y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. Don't sit there and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. No, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. How many times have you gotten a feeling about a guy and you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, he seems like a nice guy, but there's always a but. He seems like a nice guy, but he doesn't text me back. He seems like a nice guy, but he doesn't make the effort to call me. He seems like a nice guy, but I call him in a lie, right? Does that sound familiar? All right. And this is not a dating podcast, okay? I'm not here to tell y'all what to do in your relationships. I'm just using that as a reference because I feel like a lot of women can relate to that for sure. I could definitely relate to that, mainly in my 20s. I'm now 31 years old. Um, I feel like I can honestly say I was a bit of a serial dater in my 20s, and not even like dating a lot, but always being involved with someone, always being like back to back to back to back. That's another episode, okay? Another topic for another day. But what I'm trying to say here is like, when you do listen to your intuition, most of the time you are going to start to repel those type of people that aren't meant to be in your life, or you're going to start to repel that job, or you're going to start to repel that person that might be dangerous, or might be trying to manipulate you, or might be trying to take advantage of you. So like, I feel like there's always this little signal, and sometimes, like, no, a lot of the times we feel like we're crazy. How many times have you been like, nah, I'm tripping, nah, I'm bugging, nah, I'm crazy? Nah, you're not. You're not crazy. You're smart. God has given us all an intuition, a gut feeling, whatever you want to call it, to protect us. To protect us. Think about, like, I'm going to give you guys an example, okay? And I keep talking about this to my friends, but it was like, I've just never had this situation happen. So basically, I'm walking my dog at night, and we're walking down the street the same way that we always go. And there's like a little, I guess you could say, forest. It's not really a forest, it's more like just like a lot of trees near like a stairwell, whatever the case. So basically, we're walking over there, and there's like a lot of bunnies in my neighborhood. I always see bunnies, and I get so happy when I see them. And basically that night, I end up seeing like this animal, and I thought it was a cat. So it had like these pointy ears, and it was a little bigger. Like, it could be a cat, but it was like, I thought it was like a big cat. So then I start like looking at the tail, and the tail's like really long. It's like very bushy. And I'm like, why does that cat look like that? Like, that's a strange looking cat. And I noticed, I'm like, oh crap, that's a fox. So at this point, like, we're probably, we weren't that far. I want to say maybe like 15 feet. I don't know. I mean, I'm not well with like measurements and math and all that, but we were like a good distance apart. Okay. But we were close enough where I saw this thing's face, I saw its tail. We were just staring at each other. I had my dog with me. So automatically, I get this feeling, right? Boom. My intuition is like, girl, stop walking, do not go any closer. Like, no, that's a fox, like, danger. And I don't know how dangerous foxes are. I ended up like coming back in the house and Googling. I'm a Google queen. I Google everything. And I was like, do foxes attack? And people definitely were like, yep, sure do. People in my class, people, my clients were like, yo, foxes, like, they will hunt deer, they will hunt rabbits, and they will leave the animals like dead on the lawn. I'm like, nah, we're not doing this. Not today. Okay, you're not about to get me or my dog. So slowly backed away, started going back towards my house, right? And that's just a perfect example of like following your intuition. What if like I didn't, and I was just like, oh no, like, that's a cat, or oh, this fox isn't going to do anything to me, like, oh, it's harmless. Nah, nah. Absolutely not. So that's just a perfect example of like following your intuition. But that was like a really, I don't want to say scary. No, it was scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a scaredy cat. I was definitely scared. I was shaking. I honestly like I thought about running, I'm not gonna lie, but I was like, nah, what if it like starts running after me? We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Not today. So yeah, back to the topic of conversation. So when you don't follow your intuition, you tend to find yourself in dangerous situations or situations where you may, be put in an uncomfortable dilemma. Um, and it doesn't always have to be so extreme of like someone trying to harm you or you being attacked by a fox, but like small things as far as like maybe at work, like someone's trying to be your friend and you just have this weird feeling about this person, like they're gossipy. They talk about people constantly. You always hear them talking crap about people. And your intuition is telling you, like, don't get close with this person. Don't become friends with this person because if they're talking about somebody else, they're definitely going to talk about you. Period. Right? Like, so our intuition also helps us to open up our eyes and our ears. Like, that's really how you start tapping into it. You have to be observant. You have to observe and be aware of your surroundings and listen. Open up your ears, listen to the things that people are telling you. Listen to your surroundings. Keep your eyes open. If my eyes were not open that night, I wouldn't have seen that fox. If my head was just down in my phone, I wouldn't have seen that fox. I would have walked closer to it, and who knows what would have happened. So I just encourage you guys, like, listen to your intuition. Like, you will never go wrong for the most part. Like, there were so many times in my 20s where like I really like was hard on myself and I was so upset with myself for not listening to that feeling, that initial feeling of like, nah, this isn't going to work out. This person is not what I want them to be or what, I need them to be or what I want in my life as far as like relationships. And you just always know, especially as women, like we just know. A lot of the times we be knowing and we really like ignore it. And whatever the reason that we ignore our intuition, like it usually just always comes back to bite us. So save yourself the heartache, save yourself the time, the drama, the complaints, the lessons. Like, and I'm not saying that we don't have to learn lessons. I truly believe we go through things in order to learn certain things about ourselves, about other people, about life to get us to the next place. But we can avoid a lot of things. We truly can. I could have avoided so much in my 20s if I just listened to my intuition, but you learn and you grow. You learn, you do better. That's what we're here for. That's why we're on this podcast because we are trying to do better and we're trying to help other people do better. So I hope that you guys enjoy this episode. I'm trying to keep them short out here because your girl could keep talking forever. Okay. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please don't be afraid to rate, review, okay? Share with a friend. Don't be stingy. Don't be a gatekeeper. Share with your friends, okay? If you know a friend that never listens to their intuition, send this, okay? Text it. Be that friend. I have no shame. I will send my friend something if I feel like it can directly apply to them. I'm sending it. Here, listen to this. Do better, okay? And you do better too. Like this, honestly, a lot of the topics that we're about to have on this podcast are combos that I really be having with myself, or I've needed to have with myself, or I wish that younger me had these conversations or had someone to have these conversations with me. We're keeping it real on here, 100%. Guys, follow me on Instagram, wristfitkitty. I'm gonna link it in the show notes as well. But you guys can follow me on Instagram as well as YouTube, Marissa Tonge. And I am super excited to talk to you guys in the next episode. Take care, guys.